my argument is, even with things that you're developing that are perhaps more artistic or maybe they're deep tech, you can still get lots of feedback on pieces of it, or perhaps integrate some part of it into something else and see how it performs. So I agree that there's a big difference between building rocket ships and CRM software in terms of how much customer research is required. But I would still say there's still people involved, right? Rockets driven by humans still, or at least, controlled by humans. CRM, we're putting people into the database. So ultimately, the fact that there's people involved means that the customer research has to be done on some level. A lot of VCs like to think about businesses that are less than 2 years old at the seed stage. I noticed that even if I have a portfolio company that's been growing really well for the last 6 months, if it's been around for 3 years before that, I'll get an email after the meeting say, hey, what's with why has it been around for so long before they figured this out? There aren't many happy stories, right? If you look at many technology businesses or technology sectors, there's lots of companies that have IPO'd and IPO'd successfully. Not to say that there aren't great businesses that have changed things, but there's no Uber, there's no Facebook, there's no Google. The main reasons why edtech is hard is because the budgets are naturally constrained in education. There's no amount of quality you can put into the outcomes such that they're getting more budget to spend on you. Not like Google Ads, right? Google Ads works, then we've got more money to spend. And then resistance to change. I mean, most kids are still educated on pen and paper, right? So that is pretty wild, given that the personal computer has been on desks for 30 years now. So yeah, it's very, very tough. I don't invest in edtech for those reasons per se. But if it's truly your passion, if it's the only thing that you can think about doing day in, day out, then just be prepared for that rose to have thorns. You must pursue it. You shouldn't do anything else if that's the only thing. But if there's other things that you could potentially be passionate about, or perhaps you could solve that problem in another way. So for example, with edtech, you often might solve it through consumer tools, or you might solve it through healthcare, those kinds of things. So there's other ways of solving these problems perhaps that are much easier to generate profit in a sustainable business. You just need one person. It's very, very tough, but you need someone who is doing the administration of the business, someone who is doing operations, customer interactions, and building are usually the three roles. Building might have engineering and design in it as well. But you can do it with one person and then outsource elements of it, or be a polymath yourself. I've been doing Sterling Road for 5 years by myself. It's been bloody hard. But at the same time, I've built the CRM system on top of Google Docs myself. I have 4 or 5 people that work for me now, but initially I was doing the scheduling, all the social media marketing myself. Each one of those roles I built up myself and then farmed out and hired somebody later. So you don't need anybody. Don't let that be a blocker. Now, hiring and recruiting is one of the most important skills you will learn. And so getting good at that early and bringing on co-founders who are as excited about the problem as you are and can commit in the same way, that is both a massive accelerator to your progress and allows you to make progress faster because you're also focused on a skill set that perhaps you're better suited to, right? Your engineers aren't doing paperwork and vice versa. You can use tools now that will sort of do it all for you. So that's what you would use. So in the US, there's a tool called Stripe Atlas, and I believe there's a UK equivalent of that. But you would just be able to set up your company and they do all the registration for you, all that kind of stuff. Multiple tools out there that do this. And then usually with things like accounting, you set up your bank account, and again, there's startup tools like for that specifically. Look on Product Hunt if you can't find something. And then And then once you have those sort of basics like bank account, business registered, you probably wouldn't do anything like payroll or hiring people until perhaps you're a little bit further along. And then you bring in a bookkeeper and all that kind of stuff later. So you don't need to worry about it. Those are kinds of success problems, and we want those. But a lot of these businesses started in people's college bedrooms, right? So that means that there was no admin going on there. Just get it live, get people reliant on it, the business will come. I invest in B2B businesses, so usually software being sold to other businesses, maybe manufacturing companies want to have computer vision so they can track the people and the products that they're making. Or maybe it's a healthcare company that wants to use a chat bot so they can have people fill in forms automatically before they get to the office and save time. So basically B2B businesses, selling software to other businesses, sometimes hardware, maybe one or two of the investments have been hardware. We do it in the US, the UK, and Canada. And we're usually looking for a tech advantage or a legacy market. So if you have both, that's ideal. So computer vision for manufacturing is perfect. Chatbots for healthcare is perfect. Legacy market and a tech advantage in both those cases. But legal tech is of interest to us just because lawyers are, again, in the Stone Age and lots of money flowing through that market. We also, more recent investments that we did an e-commerce company that is doing text to buy for Shopify, provide Shopify store owners. And then the one before that we did was a sleep company. So they do sleep studies for people. My next theory is that the next wave of wellness after mental health is going to be sleep. Tracking it on my Apple Watch, it's going very well.